DreamHack Masters Winter is brought to you by Intel, Corsair, Monster Energy, and MSI.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters Winter. You've been waiting a long time, but this is going to be worth the wait, my friends, because we've got Astralis G2 coming up. Oh, you love to see it. My name is Frankie Ward, and I've got Scrawny and Launders with me right now. You're giggling because of my little hand movements, aren't you?
I mean, it's a good reason to be excited. This next series is going to be awesome. I love the fact that actually Astralis goes down to the lower bracket because we've just gotten banger out of banger from them ever since.
Yeah, they're a bunch of firecrackers. Now, I've got to get you firecrackers in the Twitch chat. A burn-in, because I've got to pick your brains and see if you know the answer to this question, because this is our sports buff. We do them before each series, and make sure you got the Twitch extension activated so you can take part. All right, here we go. The map with the most rounds of the DreamHack Masters Dallas 2019 tournament was played between FaZe and G2 in the quarterfinals. But how many rounds were there? And don't you dare go to HLTV and look this one up. Was it A, 25, B, 27, C, 28, or D, 31?
It was 28? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I didn't say anything.
Because you winked like as if it was 28.
No, I just had a twitch.
That's usually what people do when
I had
they're
a
trying
twitch.
to
You
imply that into the question.
I had a twitch. We're on Twitch. I had a twitch. And if you want to check out more from Twitch, twitch.tv/DreamHackCS2 if you want to check out what's going down on the B stream. But make sure you stick with us as well. That's what tabs are for, my friends, because we are so excited about this next matchup. It is Astralis G2. And before we get to it, we've also got to talk about the big event that's coming up at the end of the year. It is the IEM Global Challenge, and we now know the teams that are going to be heading to their desks from their home, competing in this huge event. We've got Furia, Heroic, Vitality. They'll be the formerly known as Chaos Artists, Liquid, Astralis, Complexity, and Na'Vi. That is going to be an intense competition and definitely one you don't want to miss. I want to see if Liquid can get their revenge on Astralis because they've got a few things to iron out, but when they do, that is going to be a seriously close series if we get to see it.
I think so. Yeah, there's history there. They know each other. At a certain point, Liquid should be able to catch up. But at the same time, there's a lot of questions for Liquid, like just in terms of their development. But they're out. They're out. We're talking about new teams now.
It's always questions. Did you have one, Scrawny?
No.
Good. Okay. Well, we'll move on to the bracket then. Let's take a look at Group B. Because there's only 2 more matches to come in Group B before we have our final 2 playoff teams. So G2 versus Astralis and Godsent North. So Godsent North is going to be on the B stream. I'm going to use the power of the Gods That Be, aka production, to give me an update on the FaZe result, unless it's already happened. Obviously, that's on the Group A, so I don't actually know what it is. Production, if you're listening to me, can you give us an update? Oh, okay, brilliant. Okay, so look away now if you want to not have a spoiler, but you're going to have to catch up pretty quickly because the winner was Complexity. That is pretty much what we expected, to be perfectly honest, boys.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a little bit harder. They lost the second map in OT, but they stomped the first map and a close win on Mirage at the end.
Well, there we go. So Complexity are going up against Furia.
I think all of these are going to be awesome series, maybe minus the first one versus Heroic. I think Heroic are going to be a step ahead of either of their two opponents. You know, I mean, just the nature of our next series. If either of our teams in this next series were facing off down in the Godsent/North game instead, I think that we'd see both G2 and Astralis move through. I mean, just not the way the bracket works out, but clearly that, I think, is like the weaker end of things.
The lower bracket is a cruel mistress. But we get to reap the rewards because it does mean we get to kick off this part of the show with G2 Astralis. And in the early days of Nico, while Magisk was still calling, Astralis and G2 met. This is about a month ago, I think, and initially Astralis won, and then the next day they played a rematch, and G2 won. However, it does feel to me like potentially G2, they're not the same team. From even like 6 months ago, it feels like, Launders. To me, I don't get as excited watching them anymore. I don't feel like I'm going to be surprised by them. And that's going to be a real issue going up against Astralis.
It's a little bit weird that you say that. You know, they take on Nico, and yet for some reason they look a little bit weird. But it's just this tournament. Like right before, everything was going extraordinarily well when fitting in Nico, but these results don't make a lot of sense. And what we saw was just, it felt like versus Furia, them beating themselves a little bit. Maybe they got caught off guard hard by Furia, had no idea what to do when Furia started playing more defaulty, and that was a problem for them. But this series in particular, they know each other really well. Their matches are quite close. Their map pools are good. There probably won't be any surprises in the veto, and I expect a lot of big things from G2. They have way more experience versus Astralis than they do versus Furia.
Are we going to see exactly the same veto then, do you think, as we saw last time these teams played? I think it was Nuke Dust 2 Inferno.
Something like that. Mirage.
Yeah, I think Mirage is a little floater.
It's yeah, like, of course, I think we've had pretty much the same vetoes almost every single time. A while ago, they played Vertigo once or twice, but lately, Astralis have been banning out Vertigo for the most part. So I don't know where they stand on that now. I really think their T-Son on Vertigo was something special, and that's since Glaive has been calling again, so maybe the map pool adjusts a little bit.
I mean, how do you beat an Astralis that looks back to its best, to be honest?
Focus on your strengths. I think for a G2, they have maps in common that are fine. They can play Dust 2 and be very competitive, and they, like Nico, can destroy on Dust 2. Yeah, I mean, of course, Astralis are going to get rid of Mirage, but the rest of the maps, like even if it comes down to a nuke, or if it did a Vertigo, super close.
All right, well, let's hear if Nextset agrees. Is it going to be super close? Here's what he had to say.
I think Winnie just had a great map. Like overall, the whole game, I don't think they did anything special or played good. Really, it's mostly us just playing bad, failing to like stick to the plans that we had, and not showing up individually, not trading kills, like not winning clutches that we should win. You know, like everything combined ended up to the result that was.
And we get the one and done over on this A site. Kenny S clearing out the smoke player. Nico knows Henny's pinned into the position, but Vinny, dude, he is so good at keeping his teammates alive. Woo! But Kenny S delivers a third off of the AK-47.
The game against Astralis, I don't think it's going to be any different from any other game that we play. It's just like another opponent, another game that we have to win in order to move forward. As for the game against Astralis, we're as ready as we're ever going to be.
They're treating them like any opponent, but Astralis just aren't any other opponent, and there's definitely a trump card in their back pocket, which is their Vertigo, which looks absolutely on point. And Nico didn't play Vertigo with FaZe.
Yeah, yeah.
Not recently, anyway.
That's, yeah, so I think, but the problem is in their recent vetoes, Astralis have been banning it, so it was one they played at one point, but it's hard to see the veto straying at this point.
All right then,
Yeah.
let's talk about Astralis then, because we found out shortly after the match against Team Liquid that Glaive is now IGL again, and so that performance that we saw from them, it now makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the calling that we saw on Vertigo versus Liquid was so impressive that it did feel like Astralis were hitting this new stride. And then to find out that that's because Glaive is predominantly calling, well, it explains everything we saw. Some of the mid-round moments were so good versus Liquid that Liquid were just constantly asking more questions than they ever had answers. They were just kind of walking around blind on so many moments. So with Glaive back at the helm, and I think if anything now, this just kind of powers up Magisk. Think about his mid-round ability to kind of add input. I don't know how how small of a leash Glaive's going to keep Magisk on in terms of still being able to input. You know, think about how this could affect Magisk. He's been calling for X amount of time now, and now he's just supposed to stay quiet. I would hope that they find some cool middle ground maybe to just elevate the team to a new level. But with Xyp9x also starting to play as he did before he took his break, that to me is like just this other X factor that Astralis have back. They've got Glaive returning to form, returning to calls, and Xyp9x right there with him. So what is the difference between this Astralis and the one that took over the world?
I was chatting to Launders yesterday though, and Alexi B's name came up again, right? In terms of like Glaive as an IGL style, and we don't now mean Alexi B's way of like sort of putting the onus on himself to make the plays, but more in terms of the way that he manages the team.
The micromanaging, yeah, that's the thing about Glaive that makes him such a special caller, is the way that he's able to, it's just an alpha personality on the roster. When he calls, he can take people and use them like chess pieces and move them around in the middle of a round. And I actually remember Pimp telling me this, that he's only seen 2 IGLs call like that, and that was Glaive and Alexi B. They have the ability to be very eloquent in tense situations and just are able to control pieces individually.
Well, a man who can pretty much do anything on the side of Astralis is Device. So we checked in to see how the tournament's going so far and what he thinks about G2.
I mean, we were not surprised by their playstyle. Liquid, we kind of studied them a lot. They were just really good in the beginning of the game, and we didn't really get rolling. Other than that, I think we quite comfortably got into our zone and played on our strengths. I'm just really happy that we won.
Advantage working out for Astralis. Device is off. He's basically giving Overwatch, but that's that 10-second defuse.
He's gone.
Device is doing everything. Every kill that tries to peek into the bomb carrier, Device sticks the landing.
I think that our match against G2 is going to be really tough. They are probably the most skilled individual team in Europe, at least. We're not scared to play them. We just need to prepare well and have a good showing on the day.
He can't just frag out, he can do his own stunts as well. That was great to hear from Device there. But right now we need to turn our attentions to 2 other players. You both picked someone. Who have you chosen to need to focus on?
I've gone ahead and brought Xyp9x into the conversation. Yesterday, I mean, in combination with Glaive's good calling, Xyp9x was everywhere and anywhere he needed to be. Most notably, I would say on Vertigo, some huge rounds where he's slipping in through middle, attacking backlines, cutting off rotations, really just being a nuisance that we know him to be, right? He's one of these incredible players who, once he's into these 3 versus 3 moments, looks a step above everybody else.
And to complement that, of course, we've got Almanac on the other side, who it seems like role-wise, they both wear different hats in the same round. Sometimes they're coming in from behind, sometimes they're with the pack. Almanac has this cool ability to be a very competent entry fragger and a lurker all at the same time, or just an aggressive lurk and find openings that his team doesn't have otherwise without him. And Xyp9x was being very crafty, and usually he can be with the pack, but he always ends up in these moments where he's able to clutch.
Such a difficult conversation. Obviously, we had it the other day about the G2 situation with their 5th man, Amanek or Jax. And it doesn't even feel like a 5th man conversation because both of these 2 players, they're incredibly useful to their team. But Amanek, he's got so many strings to his bow. He can really flex, especially to accommodate Nico.
Oh, he's incredibly versatile. He takes care of so many nades. Okay, so we've got the veto coming up. So, of course, our first bans are just going to be Mirage and Overpass, and then we're probably looking at Astralis picking into Dust 2, which was tough for them G2 picking into Dust 2, which was tough for Astralis last time they played. And Astralis actually pick Inferno this time around, which is awesome. Their Inferno looks fantastic right now, and they'll ban out Vertigo, there's a chance they left it in, but a higher chance of Nuke coming out as their first pick in the first place. So this is really cool.
We have like no time, I believe, until we get into the first map. But really, really quickly, prediction?
Astralis.
Prediction?
Astralis.
I'm saying Astralis. I don't know if we have time to find out what Twitch chat was saying.
Bada boom.
55% to Astralis, 45% to G2. That result does not surprise me in the slightest. So we're going to get a quick break, and when we come back, it is going to be G2 versus Astralis. We're headed to Dust 2. Astralis and G2 are lining up to take each other down. And we are so excited to be on the front lines of this one. My name is Frankie Ward. We have Scrawny, we have Launders, and we have Dust 2 as our first map. It is G2's pick. They've seen Astralis have been a little bit up and down on it. But will they regret this veto, Launders?
I don't think so. I think it's going to be competitive no matter where it goes. Based on what we've seen, it's just super tight across the board. They know each other. It's going to be who's better on this day, not who's the better roster. This won't determine much in that regard. It'll just show us who is better today and who goes home, which is most important.
Agreed. It's just more of the same, right? This is the series. Dust 2, or normally we'd have Nuke in the mix, right? Just Dust 2 to begin with, that's always a part of this. So ask us again halfway through this series, once we also know which individuals are stepping up today. I want to see more of that Nico that we got on Mirage, though, last series. You know, versus Furia, he looked like an absolute star. And that was after Inferno with Vinny. So let's see it. You know, Nico, he's supposed to add that X factor. He's supposed to be one of the best riflers in the world, and he joined one of the best teams in the world within this last year. So let's just watch. Dust 2 begins.
It was cool to see that Device in his interview said that G2, he feels like, are the most powerful team individually in Europe. And that's very high praise, of course. I mean, the argument is obvious. With Nico coming in, it makes a lot of sense. But still, just to get a bold statement like that right out the gate makes things really interesting. So some damage dealt to Glaive as he tries to get curious inside of the B halls. Magic is going to have some pressure put on him. And now Glaive is low, Magic is out. Things are working out okay until Dupree has something to say.
Oof, Amanek finds the headshot on Cat. We've got 3 players working up catwalk for G2. Zipnix just trying to gather some information here over on Long. Surely he can't be alone, he thinks, and he'd be correct in assuming so. We've got a very patient Nexa playing over towards the doors. Now he comes out to challenge Pit, but you come at the king, you better not miss. Zipnix turns on Nexa, kills him, and that bomb's planted in the meantime. Long-range headshot from Zipnix. And now it's on Amanek. He's got the health advantage, that's for damn sure. And he doesn't have any utility. He just needs these kills. He's thinking about the catwalk. He was afraid of something that didn't exist. Both the remaining members of Astralis, they come up from the ramp to take away the pistol.
So let's contextualize Dust 2 a little bit, because we don't know if spots are changing or changing back at the moment. I think historically, of course, Zipix is going to be playing mid to B and be the player on flex. I think Glaive started to be that player when Esatag was on the team, if I remember correctly. They changed out, but there's no reason why they wouldn't want to change back, I would think, and we'll learn more about that on the rifle round. But for their CT side, of course, we know Device. He's always going to be trying to op car, just finding different openings within the round. And that is kind of the really most important parts, right? Your support towards B, your mid player, and whoever is going to be anchoring over in the pit. These are the kind of the questions I have. It looks like Glaive is going to be nearing this part of the map. Device hanging out at mid with a scout on a crack spot and a bunch of T's close by.
Magic on the cusp of a cat push. Frag grenade to soften them up on the corner. This could prime his MP9 so well, but it doesn't come out soon enough. Everybody was ready to go, and that grenade still hits it. That is absolute money. Glaive just wanting to give himself the kills, it seems. Magisk, he goes down, but that cat push still very much compromised. We get an additional frag grenade thrown out. Everybody's just kind of stranded in the no man's land. The nomad's land. Astralis taking the 2-0 start.
Yeah, the nomadic tribe walking across a cat. They would need a zip line to get across safely, but they don't have one ready. So now G2 will buy up. They'll have a lot of money here to buy whatever they want. Kenny's doesn't seem to make a decision yet, which is kind of interesting. It looked like he was thinking about the idea of going glass cannon, I suppose. Maybe to check on mid here. He's just going to be crack spawning to see that they don't go Dust 2. Standard default here for G2 as they spread the map. Astralis doubling up on mid. We saw how valuable this play was with Alex last match.
Kenny has impressed me versus Furia with some of his AK plays. in a really big multi-kill into the A site where he nearly clutched it entirely out.
He did.
Did he close that one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
In the A site, yeah, the AK, yeah. He had that. That was an insane
Yeah,
clutch,
this really good 4K where he was able to clutch it out.
Yeah. It was so swift, Kenny Swift, that you didn't even notice.
Ooh, missed scout shot.
Well, that's mid down. No CT aggression out towards long. No one's taking an interest in pushing B, though Magisk is actively spotting it, looking for that 50-50 duel. It's not going to be given to him. They're going to throw some nades into B to maybe cause a distraction. We still got a player outside long. They have no idea where G2 want to go, but there's really no wrong that they can do. However, they will pick the site that's slightly weaker and deny any mid-control here for Xyp9x. He really wants to help Magisk, but Magisk will not get any help for now.
Wins the duel heads up. This is going to activate Device. He should be able to kill Kenny, and certainly will, but they're still working versus the man disadvantage. 15 seconds on the cross, and Bomb jumps over. Xyp9x having to look away as that flash challenged him. Nexa posted on the staircase, though. That's a great position to catch, of course, the tunnel's push off guard. And even Xyp9x dies. Hunter coming out from the windowsill to take G2 onto the board. 3 survivors as they come through with success on their first gun round.
It's an extremely strong round, and Astralis didn't set themselves up to be able to buy again, and they didn't have the best guns ever in that round as well. So kind of an awkward spot. They're forced to save? Oh my god, they're buying so late. Out of spawn, they'll invest everything they've got. I think the dilemma for them is that they didn't get kills, so the thought of winning, while could be fruitful, they win around, they'll force G2 potentially to save. They didn't get any kills, so it's hard to figure out if they'll actually be too broke to put up a fight next round. And also, we know they're going to have very strong guns this one. So, it's an investment. They still keep a few $100s, and I like the idea of not buying to zero. I think that's something that we're going to see more of.
Hunter's going to look to burst into the doorway, met by the Glaive.
Holy hell.
Double SMG kill. Lays down the smoke as well. Dupree trying to fall off of this. That's a picked up weapon, but is the job already done? They tried to challenge through where 2 CTs were sat in position. And it wasn't even the closer of the 2 that got these kills. Astralis moving that 3rd body over towards the A site. They would welcome this push. In terms of numbers, it's even, but they just decide to go charging through the smoke, throwing a player down to the CT spawn. Xyp9x is dead. Device hits Nexa. And we still have a recoverable position until Device hits that. The 1D to take the sails away from G2. Their ship is sinking. MNX been able to wrap back around the catwalk, but he doesn't expect the second player so close. Dupree on the AK and Astralis with a 3rd round early.
Well, an equally strong round to answer back. It looked like a well-orchestrated T-side round with the AKs, and it felt like G2 were hitting a stride, but that's quickly been taken away from them with a couple of good Deagle kills, and more importantly, a couple of great UMP kills from Glaive at mid. The one gun they really bought into the round, and it was a late investment, a late decision. But it obviously paid off in dividends. Now we're going to have G2 keep the MAC-10, carry that forward at the very minimum. Omnek will be the only player with armor, and they will not play this game of forcing up in response. Already here, 3 AKs for Astralis. Such a strong spot to be in this early on. I don't think this half is over by any means. A strong start and a weird sign for G2, but what we saw in that one rifle round was pretty promising, I would say.
Frag on point. Not the first one we've seen thrown into the catwalk with success.
If this match doesn't work out well, we're going to be talking about G2 versus Nemiga, their close result yesterday, their how things look versus Furia. These things will start to now compound and generate a new narrative for G2, even though right away with Nico, things looked extremely good.
Find ourselves at the 35-second mark And of course, not even a flashbang to offset crosshairs, so they try to go with the run boost. And another frag grenade on the mark. Device and Glaive lay down the lead, and Astralis extend their lead by 3.
Always so good with those HEs. So now the rebuy is in. Let's see if G2 are going to play it a bit smarter. For some reason, they've been getting ecoed a lot as well. Something weird in the water these days for these teams playing against each other. Could be a symptom of online. Who knows? Thought we were past that point, but maybe that's not the case. So another super normal default here for G2. All of the regular positions. And Astralis aren't here to do anything interesting as well. They're here to respond to some pressure. There's a smoke that goes down at the door in the B site. And what is the idea for G2? Well, they're eating some nades now on Cat. They made it out so much utility in response. Astralis reading into this as if they were going to go fast. A timed grenade here from Device to chip off a little bit more damage off of Hunter. And he's been the main casualty of all of this damage.
Yeah, I mean, that frag could have literally killed him had he just been a couple steps forward. Astralis internal clock just a second off. G2 sitting with what they've got. A little bit of mid control here, prying eyes through the double doors. Crossfire set by Astralis. Smoke grenades come sailing over. Flashbang deep out from B, and there's the response in utility. It gives them a chance to work around the sides of this smoke on doors, but 35 seconds, and there's no way G2 feel comfortable in middle. So much smoke up. So many flashbangs have been thrown, and Dupree, well, he's confident on the other side. They walk right into him, and he delivers the 2K. But as his hands are busy, Nexa does take one back, and more crucially than anything else, Amanek at this B site. But that bomb, it still sits where the initial kills came in. Device hitting this from the top of mid, and that puts pressure onto Glaive. He delivers. And can Kenny? No. Glaive shuts it down as Astralis find a 5th.
Kind of a weird round to run through that smoke, and it's just such an easy push for Device at the top of mid when he sees the commitment, especially with that bomb, to lock it in. So the 3v3, the odds were extremely low. This is Dupree in a very strong spot, of course, to catch this push off, but yeah, there wasn't much to distract Astralis from the potential for that, if that makes sense. We had Glaive attracted to the smokes like a moth on the other side of spawn, and yeah, that's it. That's how that ran out. G2, kind of a strange situation here.
Not just easy first test. Couple of appetizers go down, and, well, there's the peak with the round alongside it. 6-1 for Astralis, denying any attempt at a chaotic B hit.
Feels like their Dust 2 is changing a little bit. It's becoming a lot, I mean, their maps in general, it feels like the G2 are becoming a lot slower, which is, honestly, I don't like it that much. I think, I'm not sure why, but, you know, all of the stuff that I like from G2 is a lot of their really fast fakes, a lot of their fake long control into mid blowouts, and I think it really emphasizes, highlights a lot of their talent. But in these past couple days, things have really almost drawn to a halt. They've even timed out in a couple of rounds. So, I mean, working a map slowly is not wrong by any means. You can definitely, you know, do it well and have impact, but certainly seems like something is a little bit off here for G2. Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, then the molly. I thought that was another grenade. Imagine. Zipnik's absolute bang for his buck in terms of damage off the utility. Device, he feels comfortable enough to try and peek up into Cat, but Hunter has moved beyond this angle.
Wow. I was wondering why he didn't move. It was his teammate's flash, so he's not anticipating someone to be right there. They still might clear this. Hunter, he's usually on Cat in this position. He'll go ahead and manufacture a first kill, looking for a second, pushes up through the mole. He almost makes it a third. Close call. Ooh. And oh my goodness.
That's
Pixel
a good
peek
pickup
from Nico.
Oh, but a gap in the smoke.
They missed it. They threw 2 far smokes.
But the bomb is still able to cross. It's not comfortable for Nico by any stretch.
They can molly it here. And then they also have a nade on Magisk as well. If he walks up, he can deny this plant. I don't know if he's going to get close.
Nobody else needs to cross here for G2. Oh, Kenny.
Leave it to Kenny.
Slowly but surely inching into the angle. Nico's going to go ahead and get that bomb down. Check out the HP of G2. And if Nico's unable to jump across, like, I mean, he just took a chance going for that jump.
They don't know how much, Dupree doesn't know how much damage was dealt in the long doors with that 1 HE. Again, it's one of those situations where if he could steal the health bar, he might just run with it. Instead, he tries to play for some exit kills. So G2 pick up another round, but it's also a weird round. The long smokes being coordinated, it's like, I don't know, I always say, you know, when you're playing on a team, the last thing you want is to lose a round because of your own grenades, right? Because everything else is based around that. How much trust you have in the angles you clear, your communication, the frustration. So many things will go wrong if you just miss your own grenades. Like, that is pretty inexcusable. So being a bit more coordinated there when they had the space would have probably been better. But they still survive it.
By the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
Would have been such a difficult recovery had Nico just not been able to take the responsibility onto his own shoulders. Grabbed that bomb with one hand, threw himself over.
This is going to come down to Zipix here outside the door. They're going to go for this long split. Late Nate comes in. They're punishing so well with these grenades. Device moving into the pit, interestingly enough. It looks like they're going to set up for a retake on A and just shut down the long control. Funnily enough, though, this is where the bomb looks like it's coming. So an awkward spot for G2, where I think they feel uncomfortable with the idea of going long, and for good reason. Okay, so they'll smartly move up towards mid. Are we... Okay, thinking about just joining on Cat. So yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a handshake agreement here. On control here for Astralis. Probably the rotate through CT spawn for the retake. And G2 most likely getting a bomb plant unless things go seriously wrong.
Throwing a volley of utility. Molly included here, trying to keep Glaive tucked in. He'll be able to secure that spawn for the rotates from the B site, playing it like Astralis do. Device not going to be able to see anything. Smokes all over this site. This bomb is planted. We've got ourselves a 5 versus 5 post plant. 3 members of G2 still staying along this back wall. 2 of them over in Cat. And Hunter just took a lot of damage, but he delivers a kill, and the spray down from Zipnix is good for the double. Nico with a headshot and a follow-up pushes it all onto Device. Nico delivering kills as he does.
Definitely a tenuous position there in the post plant where G2, they aren't peeking long. They know what's coming as soon as 2 players get across to the corner. I was actually kind of surprised to see Device play so back in the first place, but not worried in a sense because Astralis, like, they're comfortable going for a retake like that. And they almost got the space. You could see that by the minimap where they died. They were almost in a position where they had favorable angles. And it just is like, okay, we're going to go for the gun duels. Who is going to be better today? And here is why all the fights end up going down on the ramp. And Nico does so much work there to get to. Really fantastic stuff by him.
G2's T-side starting to come alive. Still half the round count of Astralis, but with just 2 weapons and an early shot into Glaive from Kenny, this long pressure could be all they need. Nico does take... We need an update on terms of utility damage, because I feel like Astralis are hitting them hard every single round, and even with Glaive walking wounded, he doesn't shy away from taking an aggression, but it's over towards long that Device takes a shot from Kenny, still survives.
They got an important tag because they got Hunter, so they immediately go through tunnels, they push the top mid, they're flanking long, and they have 3 on the A site. Hunter is one of those name tags, so you know the strat when you kill him.
Dupree's just going to be trying to pepper the cross. Minimal chance that he offers as much just with that USP, but Device with the op and Glaive on that long flank. Zipnix slips right in, takes down another player. It is only Nexa. He finds the player jumping up. You want some? He gives it. Fake plant. Magus walks closer. Dupree no longer on catwalk despite Nexa's efforts to find him. He is wrapped all the way over towards long. And Magus now starting to walk up from ramp. Nexa, his internal timing, it should be a warning sign, but Dupree finds that final headshot and Astralis rob one away.
To keep the pressure high. And we know where Hunter was going on that previous round, up into Cat, into the corner. That's the same place he was headed this time around. If he wasn't just going to stay in lower, but either way, it's just too telling. So an important name tag again. Astralis win that one off the push. Ooh, I'm sorry. Didn't give you enough time for that one.
Don't apologise. Basically, Astralis had the 3rd lowest utility damage. People can read. It's all good. But before today. So in other words, those nades have been doing their work.
Numbers starting to increase.
Did you say 3rd lowest?
Of Denmark.
Lowest, yeah, of the Denmark teams, because the Danish teams, because you obviously have North and Heroic.
Oh, the Denmarkians. Okay.
But Heroic, to be fair, also, they've not actually played that many matches. Only 2.
Yeah, that's true. A salient point. Now, with the AK of Nico, how can they weaponize him? That's the question. Zippix is here trying to cut them off. He'll eat the flash. He'll control his spray, do some damage, but after being full blind, will be taken out effectively here by Amanek, and another gun will be recovered.
Astralis wasting no time throwing a body up at the catwalk, and they will find Nico, turned in the wrong direction. Device, he eats damage. Kenny S peppering him with the scout, and sure enough, he takes that kill. But no smokes. And that's going to serve as an issue. Glaive doesn't need to extend into long to give Kenny a second chance, but he has done enough to scare off the other 2. Kenny sticks around, not wanting them to think that long has been evacuated, but that is absolutely the case. And I think G2 have a little bit of timing. Check out the radar. Yeah. Astralis, we've still got Dupree and Magist very much looking over at Cross. It's only now that they've gone ahead to check T-spawn. And of course, they're going to have to be on high alert as they move back into the B site. Yeah. Kenny S slinks into the pit, but G2, they don't have much to work with as they're about to exit on the tunnels. Dupree delivers the first shot, but it was never meant to be Amanek that clutched this. It's all on Nexa. He had the gun, he had the bomb, and now G2 have nothing other than Kenny still standing. An 8th round for Astralis.
Just kind of a 4C here, but a nice round from Astralis once again. And it's about Glaive getting flashed out to long, right? They just call out, no one's actually here. All right, it's done. G2 do find that timing, but again, it's hard to go for big flanks these days with CT so keen on looking for information and calling out whether or not you're actually holding something or feigning it. And when you're low on grenades, it is the perfect adjustment to make. Now look at this line of T's that are running into the tunnels. Are they going to commit through is the question. One goes into lower. Molly pops at the end of the tunnels, and it looks like they're going to run through it.
Matt just gives up his window position immediately. Device comes deep with the op, and Amanek hits the ground. We do have Nico, though, challenging out through middle, and he's going to shave off one of these rotators, serving as a prime distraction for the moment. But Magisk finds him through smoke, and Device, well, he's just holding outside of the doorways, which does have an additional layer of smoke thrown on top. Astralis, do they even want to run this chance, or do they concede a B site? Smoke grenade comes in from Magisk. That one's going to block off Carr. Nobody over there. They do have a late player still inside of tunnels, but that bomb's already beyond the halfway point. And ECT, still no sign of commitment, so they will walk away. We've got G2 forcing Astralis to concede.
Hey, that's a big win. The flash into the B site, and some of these fast strats is honestly what I'm talking about. G2, they used the same strat the other day. It worked out well on their force-up. And honestly, it's a negligible difference between them with AKs running that strat and them with Mac 10s or Tech 9s, where you're actually encouraged to run, you run faster, you can run and shoot and hit headshots, and you have the same grenade. So they do this really strong B exec, and it's hard to stop, and they use that Sky Flash to make sure that Magisk has pushed out of the window.
G2 have done 4 utility damage. Glaive has done 427.
Honestly, well, okay, yeah, we'll see what happens in the next half, but Glaive with 427 this many rounds in, an absolutely extraordinary couple of grenades when he's been holding versus the cap push and into long doors. And they're holding their grenades until about 40, 50 seconds sometimes, really punishing G2 for taking their time.
I really appreciate how we're being drip-fed the statistics. It's like, first it's like, it's really improving. Yeah. Now we know Glaive. And by the end of this game, we're going to know that total amount. I actually like that it's going to be revealed by the end.
Right.
It'll make for a good surprise.
Yeah, the finale.
We'll see how this one keeps on giving. We've got Kenny S back on the Magics. Nope, it's a little one.
It can still be. It can still be.
It can.
Oh,
yes,
it
is. Can.
It is. It is.
Hunter, though, not going to expect Glaive to have gotten aggressive. He has 2 kills to his name. Dupree finding a 3rd one for Astralis. So Kenny S, yeah, he took a player off mid, but there were so many bodies being thrown up it that G2 didn't even realize what was coming. Amanek from inside of the smoke as it fades, finding a kill at the B site. But it's not like the bomb carrier's with him. Astralis drawing their members away from long A. Yeah. Closer back towards middle. Going to use that back line. You can see it on the radar. Just positioned across the back of the map waiting to receive. Dupree peeks in mid, gets distracted by the Cat player, and gets aggressed by the guy through tunnels. So that's confirmation that both T's are up here, which means Xyp9x can be on high alert, and after he drops the bomb carrier, putting Amanek in the 1v3, he fades away, only to find another headshot.
Some great cover there. Great cover, great teammate. Great teammates there on Astralis to cover everything, and Astralis will go ahead and take a 9th. Another interesting mid-round situation, but off of a very nice shot here from Kenny S. The guard is down a little bit. Dupree, I don't know where he gets his kill. If it was to push into the B site, but Kenny S cannot help his 2 teammates holding long. Hunter gets caught off guard, a second sprayed down, back in the door. Their defaults are getting destroyed for the most parts, and when they're taking too long to do anything in a round, they're losing. That's actually a concern, but yeah, more stats.
That's quite shocking. Since the E-League Majors 2018, Device has had 1 negative event. So not negative maps, but negative events.
The most consistent player in CSGO history?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of results, yeah, even his top placings, yeah.
Do we now need to figure out what the event was? Is that what the challenge
One
was?
negative event? I think that would be an interesting question.
One last year, probably.
No, it could have been. It could have been. Yeah, it could have been last year. There was definitely a period in the summer, I think, where things were not looking too hot for him, but yeah, maybe it's in there. I'm surprised there's actually only 1 event. That's still pretty extraordinary stuff, just Device things. Well, now we've got a lower default where it looks like G2 are going to do something similar with the P-exec, maybe? Usually when you give up this much map control early, you're not going to cancel your plans unless you see the CTs doing something. There's a risk, of course, that long push, top mid aggression, anything like that. Flash out towards mid to try to either keep the attention of the CTs here or push them back. But again, the group up is still intact.
Poor Nico rounds right into the scope of Device. Smoke over the wall. Hunter's going to try to challenge, going to try and enact revenge. But don't be fooled by this distance from Device. There is also a player in closer proximity to the doors, and also here on tunnels. Amanek's going to be burned forward as the only player who is holding a rifle this round. That's a big player to topple. And Magis just going to trade some shots through the smoke as Astralis are very comfortably looking at a 10th round on this CT side of their opponent's map pick.
They try to keep it a little bit fresh, but I think Nico's supposed to throw a smoke there because there's only 1 smoke on the mid to B, and it's definitely the one that's supposed to complement the mid to B smoke that goes up on the boost box. And so mid door is completely left open, so I'm not sure if he takes a fight too early, but either way, it is just kind of a half investment. G2 are going to look to get a 5th round by buying up in full now. Amanek probably just going to go on to a Mac 10 as he usually does. And maybe someone could drop him. No, he's just going to go ahead, grab that Mac 10. Why even think twice? This is a weird game for G2, won't lie. No one has over 10 kills just yet. Game plan looks a little bit faulty. And Astralis, they look absolutely pristine. We'll say after that Liquid game, yes, another disappointing loss for Liquid, but goddamn, did Astralis look fantastic in terms of their game plan, their punishments, their timings, Xyp9x as an individual, and there's a lot more of that right now. Unfortunately for G2, they've been a stepping stone for the narratives of other teams in these past couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Furia now a real contender in EU, having come from North America and starting off with struggles. Now Astralis just cementing their form. Device just going to sit patiently on this angle. Let's see how many players peek in, and let's see if they do it with a flashbang. He does have a counter scope on him in Kenny S. Who's going to get fed to the beast? Nico, first one to fall. Easy shot from Device, and he falls back to the corner of CT. Drops his second chance, and then the flashbang's good at blinding both him and Dupree. This gives space over. And talking about space, Amanek comes out from middle to cut down that first rotator. Now looking to go and anchor at the top of mid. Or even take this a further step and go flank long. He's going to find 3 players turn, but he's only working with the Mac 10, and he only has 34 health. He's still able to get a kill, but it's Dupree with the triple. As that retake comes through, Amanek swaps weapons, and the bomb's not planted for him. He has to run in to close this, and he won't. Dupree, ice in his veins, sustains on the CT side as Astralis find 11.
I won't waste another one. Oh, that darkness, it won't set me back again. Oh, I'm not asleep or awake. I won't let the future escape. Burning dreams take me back to you. In the night when I heard you call. We're not the only ones. 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 Head down, they will watch us chase around. Oh, it's like this. It will fill the air around. Oh, I'm not asleep or awake. I won't let the future escape. Burning dreams take me back to you. In the night when I heard you call. We're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. We're not the only ones.
Well, it seems that Astralis are back. 11-4 on the CT side of Dust 2 here.
Oh, what?
Ooh. What?
Dupree has 20 kills?
That he does.
I didn't even notice. Did you notice that? My bad. Holy crap, 20 and 6? He's doing that from B?
Making it look easy. I mean, that last clutch definitely helped. Just to go to show you the form, right? 3 kills on the bomb site, sticks the defuse, doesn't even give a crap about Amanek or his attempt to clutch it. A second round pistol would really express this finale on map 1, but G2, they've got a good pistol round win rate. It's the conversions that are lacking.
Very true. Another salient Elliott stat. It always rings true. But it looks like a pistol round might be a problem now with this gush on Kenny S. Or will he be shaken? He's been gushed before. Oh my goodness, there's a gush back with the USP for the full amount of damage. And Device will push one on Cat. Bomb can get planted. Fast flank from Long is going to be held by Device. Could come down to him right here.
USP is starting to pop heads. Another one. And now it's Glaive off the P250 to try and take everything back. But G2 Esports win the second pistol. Still a 6-round differential.
Yeah, 6-round differential. That first half was really weird to me for G2 and really strong for Astralis. So we'll see now what the T side is going to look like. I'm expecting a high-level preparation and kind of innovations to come on this map based on what we know about the last 2 matches for Astralis. But for G2, you've got to hope for the same thing, though it doesn't feel like you can expect it right now. That being said, because CT side, they can really fall back on the talented players on the roster. And if Vice is saying this is the most maybe skilled lineup individually right now, that this is going to strengthen their CT side enormously. Also able to come back into off a pistol.
Domidadeshan. Denver.
What language was that?
Elliot language. At 10:35, so 1,035 utility damage for Astralis at the half. I guess the end of the first half. 27 for G2. 69 utility damage per round. More than 4 members of G2 had ADR at the half.
Elliot adds some hyphens there for you, Frankie.
Sometimes these stats make me feel like I can't read. So more than 4.
There's a bunch of 69s.
Domination.
All right.
Oh, domination! Oh my!
You didn't get that.
I
thought it was
don't
a
speak
spelling.
Finnish.
It's not like you, Launders.
Perkele.
Back at it.
Lucky.
Let's see it. They come in with the force, right? I mean, they're going to have Magisk and Dupree as well equipped as possible. It's going to be a bit of a sacrificial lamb from Zipnix and Glaive. They've got themselves out mid already. This is a huge B crunch, in fact. This is massive. But that Molotov at the feet of Glaive, that really screws him over. Hunter, he peeks out mid, doesn't see these players tucked behind the door, and now he's going to get challenged. Nico coming up from CT spawn, he still doesn't know about Magisk from behind the box. He gets 2 kills and leaves Nexa to try and scramble in to pick up the pieces. Yet again, G2 take pistol only to fall.
Damn. How can it ring true so many goddamn times? That is nuts. Now, of course, when we look at this round, it is pretty insane how they're finding these traits. Like, straight up, some of these situations, they had better guns. But the amount of pressure that was put here, as the CTs are dying outside the site, rotating in, it can kind of make sense. They created chaos, and then they thrived in it. Astralis, they win this round with potentially 3 players alive. Nexa would be in a very good spot to get an AK out of this round, but now there's 3 coming. Device will jump up. It displaces Nexus Crosshair. Device gets a kill. G2 don't save anybody. Astralis on 12, and that was the conversion. That's what they needed more than anything else. And now I've got Magic and Magisk confused. Magisk is sitting outside of B, stopping the rotators from coming in when the site's not even done being taken yet.
We saw Hunter peek out from the window. Didn't see anybody because they were inside of the smoke. He got attacked a second time, and then that would have led them to believe, all right, 2 mid. But Magisk's patience behind that box was everything. And now we've got Astralis with what could be a 13th round, but G2 bite back, or at least Amanek will on long, using the 5-7 to drop a body and put a lot of pressure. Ooh, kennyS, Deagle through the smoke at a distance, because it's actually Nico who was close. CZ from box gives them another. It gives them a chance. Glaive's coming back here towards mid to try and control, and oh, does he ever. Headshot immediately into kennyS. That's going to take him down, but he is the reason that they are already this close. It's damage, very good damage. Nexa, all he needs is a single shot into Zipnix, and he finds it. G2 aren't going down without a fight.
That's beautiful from Nexa. First of all, after he gets the first kill, immediately goes for the Molotov to zone out Zipix, who was looking for his next position. Read that beautifully, iced out the 1v2, brought it back for his team. His team left him out to dry in that conversion last round, but now he's going to be the hero to save the day. And as you mentioned, a ridiculous shot by kennyS. Probably the reason that they're able to get this close in the first place, but look at this, just so well done. Forces Zipix to stand out in the open on the right side of the double stack and keeps G2's hopes alive, seriously, in this game. 13-5, you think that would be insurmountable. 12-6 with the bye back for G2. Now we're in business. They can at least show whether or not Astralis are truly the better team, or if not, it was just a first half affair with a real flub in the second round of the second half. Bit of pressure here onto Astralis. And this is where, to be fair to G2, we'll see if the utility damage evens out a little bit. I don't think it will. They hit really high numbers as just a general average for teams with that first half. But of course, getting damage on cat players is key. It's absolutely key. And it doesn't seem like they have any plans at the moment.
First shot's good from Kenny.
Oh, they walk across. Flash will come out. Goose. Nico, is he going to get cleared? Doesn't seem like he will. Oh, he will. Okay, but he won't lose.
Still standing in this position, smoked off from his teammates. They go for the double peek, and Nico able to take 2 bodies with him. Kenny S giving that cover fire all the while. Very much outnumbered here and also outpositioned. Device is going to try to get his hands on the AK, does so well, but Kenny through the box takes his head off, and G2 take another round.
That was something a little bit different. Coming up for the walk across to elbow to get to the site. That's not something you see Astralis do every day. Said the game plan was going to look a little different, but here was an empty shot for Kenny S. And he doesn't overextend, which is the big part. You know, because there was no noise, there was the opportunity for Kenny S to just kind of walk in and expose himself without being able to shoot. And I think Astralis were hoping for that opportunity, but instead look a little bit sillier. Now they'll just invest what they can to get what they can, and it looks like another really late buy. Second time this game we're seeing Astralis really buy halfway out of spawn. But looks like Kenny is pretty on point at the moment. How do you say precise in French?
Précision.
Précision. You think he just says that in his head every time he hits a shot?
I think he says, pew.
Maybe.
I'm sure it sounds that cute. Kenny's mind.
Non, c'est très mignon parce que c'est Kenny.
I thought you didn't speak Finnish.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Je parle un peu de Finnish.
And the jig is up. Pistols patiently placed predominantly
Oh, any more peas?
on catwalk.
Okay.
More frag grenade damage. G2 giving it to Astralis the same way they took it, but
the flash.
Dupree with the D
this
and
is the round that
another
could get out of
headshot.
hand.
Kenny S, he's going to find the head of Glaive, calling for help in the form of flashbangs, peak after peak, until his knees are weak. He hits the dirt, and Zipnix takes his position, trying to find that kill on long. HP low for both Dupree and Zipnix. Very little utility for G2 to try and get this retake going. Single smoke and a flash. Dupree, though, I love this angle, just over top of the puff. And there it is, another headshot. This is a team effort coming out of Astralis, but, well, there's still 2 CTs alive and kicking. Nexa, Nexa, Nexa. Hunter takes the defuse as G2 find 8.
What's the paper boy say? Used to be extra, extra, extra. Now it's just Nexa. That is nasty by him. Again, a saving grace. The arm to reach into the ocean to save you from drowning. Nexa comes through on the second round of the second half, the third, after they lose the second. They lose that conversion again. He fishes them out of a dark hole with this 1v2. Now he comes through with the 3K on the retake. He's everything you need and more.
All right, Astralis looking to change up the pace. We got the conga line working towards the B site. Kenny S at bat. He has been a key piece to this little comeback, and he hits the first one. Hunter's back behind him, sectioning off players. They're going to go ahead and put out the fire, but Hunter's on fire. And he lays down the lead to give G2 a 9th.
Yeah, let's call that Hunter's Fury. He locks down that choke point all by himself. 3 rounds difference. This is brought to you by Nexa. Honestly, heroic efforts by him when they needed it the most. It's not been necessarily the prettiest or most aesthetic kills that he's gotten. It's just been really smart plays, not overplaying his hand, and again, being in that position right when you expect him to be there. Long
Kenny
push
on the
coming in.
Opposite side of the map this round.
Yeah, he's been pervasive.
Bomb needs to be picked back up.
Oh, a close miss. Oh, no, and the punish. That's a tough one. Sometimes Kenny repeaks, but sometimes he's still rewarded. This is a time where Device is just a little bit too sharp.
Now he's looking to use that sharpened blade to chop off another player of G2. Will they peek into him? They don't have to at all. With that boost, they can throw a player over onto the catwalk. Yes, Astralis have strong footing on long, but that's all they've got at the moment. So Device on total overwatch. And all of a sudden, Nexa, he's hidden inside of the smoke. Interesting position. Nico's going to find a headshot, but he goes down right thereafter. Hunter's cut off by his own smoke. They do not know about Nexa.
my God.
And that bomb's going down right next to him. As it begins to fade, he's going to find himself amidst all of the T's, and it's off Amanek's flashbang that Nexa comes up. The jig is up. He knows he can find something else, but they go ahead to take the fight to him. Hunter coming out from smoke to the 2v2, and Device keeping his head down. We've already got that cat player coming into the mix. Amanek crossing onto the boxes. Device missing his shot, but he still stands. And Amanek, all that's there because he defuses the bomb while they're waiting.
Utmost chaos takes place on the A site. The smoke that goes down with Magisk within it, as well as Nexa. And then, as you mentioned, Amanek throws this smoke, this flash, to combine with that smoke coming up so he could take a peek, get some information, retain the site control. And Astralis, they want to fight back for it. They don't like that they lost Goose.
Kryptonite. Yes. The one event Device was a negative at was Blast Pro Series in Miami in 2019. Astralis got 16-2 by MIBR. If you remember, that was the event that ENCE won, and that was the event where ENCE beat Astralis on Nuke and broke their win streak. And yeah, obviously it was a really difficult time for Astralis around that time.
Yeah, that was Frankie's thinking Blast
I'm thinking of Madrid. I'm so sorry, I'm thinking of Madrid.
Miami.
Oh my goodness.
We were having cocktails by the pool at both, Frankie.
We were, and that's why my memory is completely shot.
It's a good time. Regardless. And G2 starting to have a good time. This game is brought back round by round.
Yeah, it's just this clutch factor. A lot of close situations. But as soon as the dust settles, G2 can maybe feel a lot more confident, right? Astralis is going to have a hard time realizing that they've given up such a lead and figuring out exactly why. Xyp9x is here to stop a push, and he'll be unsuccessful in the playground, playing as passively as possible. This is an enormous victory here in this round for G2.
Kenny S lost this duel last time. Device not working with the big guns. Scout still does damage, tags Kenny to 60. Good frag grenade damage and the kill through smoke from Nexa. Astralis getting pulled apart here on these long plays. They'll be happy to know there's not somebody inside of their bomb site, but all the CTs still loom near. Glaive catching one off at the top of the totem pole. And Kenny S now, he's going to be caught in the open, so he dives back behind cover. And here's Hunter with a crucial kill. The push from Glaive shuts down. It's only Device to find one off the ramp. And G2 now 1 round away.
Another straight-on 50-50 situation. Like a 3v3, everybody knows where everyone is. They're here to take a fight, right? They're the gladiators in the arena. And there's no way out. They know they have to fight forward, and yet G2 pull out another victory over and over again. But it starts with that first kill. It makes you so uncomfortable to know that your flank isn't being watched. Xyp9x goes down outside of B, and you don't know how much map control the CTs have. That makes you feel even more pressure to move forward.
Just gonna creep right out. Hunter finds him. What could have been an initial walkout, an opening kill, and a chance for Astralis to just pop outwards, taken away from him.
It's not every day you see Astralis blow a lead this big, but you can look back on every single round and see why.
This would be the 7th round in a row for G2 if they can close versus Deagles.
Absurd. Taking control of the economy, getting their feet on the ground here on the CT side. And some players are still negative, but are clearly hitting really great shots. Thinking about Nexa, I'm thinking about Kenny S.
Glaive burnt to a crisp. Xyp9x just trying to find himself a bomb plant. There was so many smokes on the play from Astralis. But now it's down to just the double Deagles. Dupree and Xyp9x in the clutch, and it's all shut down. G2's individuals are starting to look real good, and we are all tied up. This is anybody's map.
And the rounds get less close. If it were any other team, I'd say they are totally out of gas. They might lose faith in themselves at this point. I don't think that's the case for Astralis, and here is where it is a true test of them. Attack timeout called to go over things. It feels like the communication is a little bit off when it comes to approaching the sites, not coming in confidently. They're getting caught off by some gimmicky positions from G2, and all credit to G2. They've been smart, and they've been new every time, so it's hard to get ahead of it. But here's where Astralis really need to take control of things and try to figure out what the next move is for G2 Esports.
Last time these two teams met, they played Dust 2 twice, and Astralis had real issues on the T sides both times as well. So this isn't a new thing for Astralis.
Yeah, so this is something that they'll probably have to solve on the fly. They leverage such a strong position to get to that 10-5 half, but some of the early rounds, again, just saved by Nexa over and over again, have appeared to maybe wear away at the confidence of Astralis, but that's where this round comes in. It could be a huge test, a buy up on both sides to see who takes 13.
5 of these CT round wins by way of defuse. So let's be honest with everybody. Astralis finding enough success to at least make each and every one of these rounds competitive. Kenny S versus Device, a duel for the ages, and Device is gonna take him clean. Yet again, winning that fight from Pit. Hunter peeks and through the edge of that smoke takes down the leader of Astralis.
G2 are looking for that mid lurker. It's slowing them down a bit. They're hunting everybody down on Cat. This is giving Astralis time to cross on long, and they know they've left mid as well. They've got someone back in the pit. They can look for the A ramp plant, but see Nexa trying to seek out this information. Doesn't think the cross is coming in quite yet, and Hunter will go down too. A clean round for Astralis, and Omanek, he has to think, does he want to try to do damage or save? Because he ain't going to win.
Another instance, Launders, where all we have from Astralis is long play. None of these A moments have they had that Catman. Have they tried to work a late lurk through mid? None of it. It's just long and A site that they want, and this time they take it.
I would imagine, and this is conjecture on my part, but this feels like a moment that Glaive calls attack, and he says, this is the reason we're losing. The strategy is good. These are the few key moments that need to be cleaned up, and if we solve this issue, then we should have no problem. Let's try it again, because they go into a similar round. So I'm assuming that this is the idea. Of course, they talked about it. They didn't just turn their brains off and run out again. But of course, that's maybe something we have to ask a Glaive if we get the chance. 13-12 here from Astralis, and it's symbolic. They maintain that lead even though they had it for such a long time, and it came this close. This key kill obviously changes things as well. Xyp9x, a mercenary in this round, could have been an untraded frag that gives G2 a lot of information because it's Xyp9x and lets them take top mid control.
Device quickly setting his eyes upon mid. Got Nico back down here behind the doors. 4 members of Astralis back to long, and again, even Device is going to come join them. I'm curious to see if G2 start trying to play more of a long flank. Yeah, they've got players in position on Cat, but with what we know about Astralis in these last few rounds, at what point do you try and compromise the back line? So far, they haven't taken that risk. Yet again, we've got Astralis on the cusp of the ramp. Nexa extending all the closer, and he got away with an absolute robbery.
Such a brave call again. But look, I mean, G2, they're aware of this. They're close up in positions. They're prepared to fight. They've seen it come across fast as well, so you'd think that they'd be more prepared to deal with it. It doesn't mean they'll be able to stop it. Astralis haven't made a decision yet, and look at the counter grenades. It's still keeping them back, making these smokes expire. Molotov will go on Cat, and now the fights will come in.
Hunter's able to find that first one, smidgen of a gap to work with. Nexa hoping that somebody presents themselves at the top of this ramp. You've got 2 players back behind this box. Kenny S rocks the first one. Hunter, as the smoke fades, kills yet another, and it's only Glaive to answer. He would need the 1v4, and that is not going to happen. They go back to what they'd try to work. It's worked once fully. But G2 get back in position. 2 players behind the elbow box. A lot of pressure on Kenny S, but he delivers. And this slight gap from Hunter after the smoke fades, finding another.
I think at this point, you know, you don't know it's because of that gap, but Astralis, I don't think it, like, at this point, you've got to take that as a reason to think about something else. It's scary that they've thrown so much caution to the wind going to long this many times. They did prove they can win that round, but now they're calcifying the defense. G2 are figuring this out, and it's becoming easier and easier. Now they're counter flashing more. Now they're nading more. They're getting in position faster, and they're less afraid of this late flank that could come in, and they're always correct about that.
Glaive has the most enemies flashed, utility damage, MVPs, and ADR.
Wow, maybe he's making up for something.
It's like you, Frankie. You can do it all.
I can do it all except cast or analyze.
Well, you're here with us.
I can dance.
You don't want to see me host, Frankie, so...
I don't want to see you dance either.
Me or Frankie? You don't want to see me dance, man? Come on.
That's why he always gets a hand over his eyes in the breaks.
Kenny S posed on the side of the
They
smoke.
did it again.
Nobody, man. Nobody there.
Device in suicide here. He's trying to punch the cat. Yeah, cat play. But this is so. What can happen here? So again, like I feel like Glaive is trying to mega mine this and see if they are going to go for some like push through lower, maybe late, something on cat. And we've seen G2 scour map control very often, and G2 and Astralis have picked up long early. So, okay, now they're trying to evolve the strategy a little bit. It's still long, but it's also cat now. And, oh, I think Hunter had eyes on that for a second, but he'll give it up. Kenny S holding the cross. And now they'll try to apply the pressure. They're not smoking this out. They have no sight control now. They have no long or cat. They're asking for this.
So many rounds. They're so worried about long. Kenny can't deliver a second kill. He was stranded in the open. G2 have been so conditioned to be wary of long, and nobody rears their face from this direction. A late anchor from Device at the top of mid. A near team ace coming through from Astralis. It's round 27, and after what feels like 5 or 6 consistent long hits, they finally change up the look of things.
I think they got a little bit lucky on one thing. I think Hunter was playing mid and spotting cat for so long, and then as soon as he turned back to think that they might be going for a walk B, everybody from Astralis turned the corner on cat. So the players on cat looked like they were all too unprepared for that kind of aggression whatsoever and thought it was just another standard long hit. So I want to say that he might have got unlucky in that moment, though I'm not sure if he was holding it. But they really did look foolish to not be prepared for that at all.
What a great time for a team ace to come through. They secure 14th, with each player contributing from Astralis.
This is crazy. Now, since G2 have done so well in this half, at least in the last few rounds at dealing with long hits, where there's not been like huge lucky saves by Nexa that were coming in early on, I really wonder where the rest of this game is going to go. The only issue for G2 is maybe they don't have a lot of money. Ooh, Almanac, he's only got a UMP.
Also, Elliot, Jax isn't here to defend himself. Why you got to do him like that? G2 beat Astralis 16-2 and Dust 2 in October, and Jax went 1 for 7 in those individuals.
For what it's worth, Jax was their long player. He was definitely very good at it. Okay, hold on. Wait a second, yeah.
They eat a flashbang, though. That slows them down a little bit. But that ump, you mentioned it, the weakling of the CT's by Hunter. He's still got the FAMAS up, changes position, snaps into the headshot, swaps to the AK, and can't quite deliver a trio of frags, but he does have a trio of teammates coming in. Kenny S, scope up, player down beneath him. And we do still have one member of Astralis back towards tunnel, so we could get a separate duel between Nexa and Device that could mean everything for this retake attempt, because if he dies, I don't know if they take this chance. Device doesn't see it.
Oh, he's going to maybe walk forward after he hears that. Yeah, he's going to be flanking mid now.
This could be it. Device trying to find it, but if they keep him honest, it's the P250, and at least it gets traded immediately. G2, they still have to contemplate it, and Nico, he smells blood, but he has to just walk away despite being thirsty.
They have no kit. Oh my goodness.
This one has to slide. Astralis bullying their way into the B site. It took so many A rounds before they finally start to change things up. Would we contribute this to Glaive back at the helm and calling?
This is there's so many details here. I think it wouldn't do it justice to sum it up to one thing in this map, because it's unlucky rounds for Astralis, it's smart rounds, smart adjustments, it's unlucky rounds for G2. There's so much that went on in this half. I really have a hard time boiling it down to just one thing. But goddamn, is it close? And if it wasn't for the money, it wouldn't be over. That last round could have been very different. Almanac, if he had better than a UMP, with Hunter getting those 2 kills in the back of the site, there's so much that rests on basically a hairpin in this game. And Device now, he'll start to turn up the pace, jumping up into suicide, getting a kill before a minute 40, and Hunter is now left alone in lower and must be a little bit worried. Things go from bad to worse, and we kind of forget about how close this game was as G2 down to just 2 pistols and an M4. 1 gun in an unretrievable position, and 1 gun being protected on the other side as Device is trained on the mid-cross. Astralis just adding a few seconds extra to the default to see if G2 do anything stupid.
Astralis squeezing G2, making them sweat.
Nico's
High pressure position. That's the op picked up from Amanek. And he's going to boost Nico so that they can get a little bit of vision on Catwalk. If they can catch them off, there's still a chance they turn this one around, but it's going to be the double peek. Dupree instantly killed, but that's information gained. And Device has Amanek slain as he tried to retreat. Magis, he's going to catch another kill at this B site. Bomb is in tow, and G2 in tatters. What was an awesome CT-sided run. 7 rounds in a row. Back and forth nature from G2 and Astralis, but finally the Danes will close this. It looked like it was going to be one of the most lopsided maps of the series, and wow, did we ever get a match in the end.
Yeah, we definitely did. That was crazy. That's a complicated game.
And yeah, finally, Astralis managed to take down G2 on Dust 2, and we're going to talk about how after this break. After going 11-4 on their CT side, the T side troubles of Astralis returned as Nexa came up clutch, defying Astralis' early attempts to protect their plants. But Astralis managed to do the conditioning thing on G2 and bring things back in time to defy G2 on their own map pick. There's a lot of defiance in this one, Launders, and there's so much to unpack. So let's just go to that conditioning I just mentioned there. The catwalk.
Yeah, the catwalk. I want to say, I don't know what they'd say about it, but from my perspective from the outside, not knowing what they were saying, I was trying to conjecture about their communication and stuff and some of those close situations they lost. But outside of that, I don't think this was like a mega mind T-side from Glaive. I think there was one round where he does his classical Glaive conditioning where they take something a lot of times and then they go back to that same thing but make it seem like it's going to be something else. And that's with the cat play with the same molly, makes it seem like it's a long hit. And that's probably what messed up Nexa. Seeing that molly land as they're crossing the corner. But I think there was also a moment there where G2 seemed half aware of it, and I'm not sure if they missed that. Apart from all of that, this is just such a close game. It's like a total coin flip because of the amount of situations that we saw. And I think Astralis are just going to be relieved that they won. I don't think they're going to be extremely proud of how that half went.
Do you think that G2 could use a little bit of that fakery on their T side?
Yeah, their T side was very forgettable. They got punished, as was mentioned by Elliot, with the utility damage, the incredible grenades, the mollies that landed. Every time they were in a spot that they couldn't be seen, a nade would come their way to let them know that Astralis knew. Something like over 1,000 utility damage just on that CT side. Every single time G2 tried to find footing anywhere on the map, they were met by it. So I would say, you called it forgettable, but I think, if anything, it's forgettable because Astralis' defense was so much more impressive. They seemed to know exactly what was coming at them round after round.
And on the G2 defense, G2 on the G2 defensive G2 CT side, you mentioned that some of the positions that G2 were holding were gimmick.
Well, yeah, like we had Nexa in the smoke on the A site with the flash that came over, and gimmick has it can have a negative connotation, but it shouldn't always. Like sometimes gimmicks are very important for winning one round, and sometimes you only have 7 rounds that are gun rounds and a half. So having 7 gimmicks is not so much to ask sometimes, and pulling off plays like that can really change the course of a game. Confidence, like it causes doubt on the other side. So I just wanted to say that they were pulling off a lot of positions that were a little bit atypical that ended up working out well.
Let's talk then about the next map. It's going to be Inferno. This is the classic Astralis map now. This is the one that they rely on to get them over the line. And it looks like they're warmed up now. They're ready and raring to go. What are we expecting from G2, though, on this map?
Probably getting ecoed in the second round.
yeah, and then again in the 17th.
But they win the pistol both times.
They tend to. I think that if G2 had their hands full with utility on Dust 2, then they better be prepared here on Inferno. When we watched Astralis versus Liquid on Inferno, they were really well prepared. Like, I mean, literal call-outs for, like, I just can't get it out of my mind. That one round where we have exactly that. Glaive sat on top of the other side of the smoke, 2 headshots versus Grim and Stewie, literally knowing their position, their timing, their everything. Astralis are a team that prepare. We all know that. And I think G2 better be as prepared for it, or they are going to lose this 2-0 and be sent home.
Well, are Astralis going to hit G2 with that do-do-do-do-do? We'll find out after this break.